Good evening, everybody. Good evening. I'm Diana. Welcome in, everybody. I see, gosh, we've already got quite a few folks. That's great to see. Please introduce yourselves in the comments. Welcome to Wednesday night workshop with Build A Quilt. And tonight we're starting something brand new. So I think you're going to love this. It's that time of year where I have been getting a little design burnout. I'll just be honest with you. But then I thought about a bunch of blocks I made years ago before I created Build A Quilt. And I thought, ooh, what if we did that as a Build A Quilt challenge? So I'm going to tell you all about that here in a little bit, but let's take some time to say hello to one another. Hello, hello, hello. Please go ahead and let us know that you're here in the comments. We would love to hear from you. And I am going to share something with you all that I did a little video on yesterday because we did it early. So I bet a lot of you, I'm just going to grab this off the wall, off the block wall. This was our inspiration challenge little pattern, this star. And we were looking at the idea of letting nature inspire us on choosing colors. Nature doesn't typically get color combos wrong. We tend to go, ooh, pretty, nature did that. They go together. Ooh, we like that. And so we can use that technique for picking out our own colors in our own quilts as well. And so this was our little challenge. We had a little contest. And yesterday I did the video to share with you who won. And we did that a little bit early. And I'm going to share that with you again. But before I do, hello to our good friend Sue. Sue, our dear friend, is over in Indiana. I hope you guys are having a good day over there, Sue. Has it been cool over there like it has been here? Like we've had a couple of nights 48 degrees. Can I tell you, I am loving it. I am loving being out like in the garden and here in the house and not having to have air conditioning all day and not having to have, 3 or 4 showers a day because it's so sweaty and hot outside. So I love it. Sue says, yes, it's cooler. Yeah. Today we actually got up to like 76 or 77, and which meant the temperature went up here in the studio. So I do have to have the fan going tonight, or by the end, you'll see like I'll be dripping. But it's supposed to go back down again. So and 78 really isn't hot, but it makes this studio space hot because the sun hits this one wall here. Anyway, so I've been loving this cool air. And here is our dear friend Ruth. Hi, Ruth, all the way from Lake Stevens, Washington, one of my favorite places. Ruth, so glad to have you with us tonight, my dear. I hope you got the email I sent you today, Ruth, because you had sent me an email and I did reply back to you, but it wasn't until this afternoon. I'm sorry. I've just been so busy. But it's so good to see you, Ruth. How are things out on the West Coast, by the way? Are you guys getting any of those like crazy rains they got in California and stuff like that? Or are you going through a heat wave too? I have a cousin out in Seattle, but I haven't talked to her in a few weeks, so I don't know what's going on out there. Although one of my best friends contacted me. She didn't say anything like crazy about the weather, so maybe it's being good out there. I certainly hope so. So, as I was saying, this was our little inspiration challenge. I did thank you, no rain. It's in the 80s. Yeah, see, for some reason, we're getting very cool weather here. It's been like in the 48 overnight, 50s, 60s during the day. Today it got up to like 76, I think, which was like the warmest we've had it in a week. And I'm loving it. I'm loving every minute. If it stays like this another week, you better believe I'm pulling out the sweaters because I am so ready for sweater weather. We had our inspiration challenge, and I did a little congratulatory video yesterday. I was a little surprised, not as many entries as I thought were going to come in, but that's okay. I mean, it's summer life. Maybe it wasn't a good time to have it. I don't know. But we have a winner for our challenge, and I don't know if she's with us yet tonight. She usually shows up, but let us all congratulate our dear friend Kathy because we will all know who she is. There we go. Our dear friend Kathy is our Inspiration Challenge winner. And you can see a little bit of her block there, but I'm going to show you her full block. This is her actual block. And her story, you know, I asked to like give a few little sentences on why the colors inspired you that you chose out of our inspiration photo and all of that. And Kathy wrote like this whole big, beautiful story that had every one of us on the committee, like just even the guy on the committee we were all bawling. It was so tender and sweet and kind. And this represents these colors reminded her of several people in her life. Her late parents, her late brother, and her late sister-in-law. And so she said, although she cried a lot through making this, it was a very cathartic cry. We all know how that is, right? Sometimes getting that cry out there is good and we feel a lot better afterwards. I know I do. But that was Kathy's block. I loved it. We all loved how she made her center lighter than the points of the star. Usually that's reversed, but we really liked how we really thought it like brought a little extra depth to the way she put that together. So congratulations, Kathy, on winning the Inspiration Challenge. Now, the prize for the Inspiration Challenge is our brand new mini combo basic set. And I have a teeny announcement about that. I've been telling you it was coming out on the 1st of September. And I had my date off. It's coming out on the 3rd of September because the 1st is Labor Day Monday and we're not here. And I thought Labor Day was like the beginning of the next week. I've had my dates so far off, even with my calendar. It's been crazy. So it's coming out the 3rd. It's ready to go, but it's coming out on the 3rd, the morning of the 3rd. You'll wake up, it'll be there for you. And it is kind of a duplicate of our basic combo set, our regular sized one, but these segment pieces are going to be tiny minis. So those of you mini quilters, or for folks who need those smaller pieces to square off blocks, things like that, you've been needing those smaller pieces to kind of do some different sizing of your blocks. It's going to help you with that too. And when it comes out, I'm going to do a whole series of videos on different ways that you can use that particular set as well. So be prepared. Those are coming. But I can't give you any other information until the morning of the 3rd. Sorry, can't do it. But I just wanted to tell you, I was off on my dates by two days, and I apologize for that. That's what happens when you get old as dirt, I guess. I don't know. Now, quick announcement for our Quilt Labbers, our Quilt Lab subscribers. You all are, our Quilt Along is starting on the 7th. And there are 2 new videos for you in the members area of the website, and a new handout for you to download. Yesterday's video, the 2 pre-videos, are all about color and quantity. And yesterday, I also put out a quantity sheet for you for the quilt. So you'll want to go to the members area and download that if you haven't. I know several of you have, because I've been getting notifications, but if you haven't, you'll want to do that and watch yesterday's video specifically because I show you the exact fabric. In the first video, I showed you little diagrams of the fabric I had chosen, or little photos. Yesterday, I did a whole unboxing because my fabric came, because I'm doing my colors in a holiday theme. Every couple of years, I like to make a new wall hanging quilt for the holidays, around the Christmas holidays. And this is my year to do it. So I thought, hey, I'm going to do my Quilt Lab Quilt Along quilt in holiday colors. But I talked to you in yesterday's video about colors. We look specifically at the fabrics that I've chosen. And then there's this quantity tip sheet for you. Okay. So you'll want to grab all of that for all of our Quilt Lab subscribers. All right. I wanted to make sure and get that in before I forgot, because that's just kind of how that happens with me these days. I forget a lot. If you're just joining us, please let us know that you're here by saying hello in the comments. I'm going to take a sip of my coffee, which I probably shouldn't do because I'm starting to feel like I'm getting the coffee high jittery thing because I've been so busy working yesterday and today that I keep drinking a lot of coffee. I should be drinking a lot of water instead, but sometimes I need the coffee, right? And so, yeah, and my throat's a little weird today. Probably because I've been teaching and talking a lot. So by the time I get to the evening, my throat's kind of, Anyway, okay, so this week, today, we are starting a brand new challenge. And it's not a challenge like our inspiration challenge, it's not a contest thing. It is a 24 block challenge to help you in a lot of ways. One, if you're new to Build a Quilt. Two, if you're an experienced Build a Quilter. There are different things in this challenge that will help you. It will help you practice your skills with Build a Quilt. It will help you practice and learn more about quilt layout, which we'll get to like later on in the challenge. And it can also help you learn how to work with different sizes. So say you're somebody who makes a lot of tiny quilts. Maybe you want to make the bigger quilts. To give yourself some practice. And the one thing it absolutely is, we'll go into that more in a little bit, but the one thing it absolutely is a scraptastic way to get some of your scraps into quilts. Get them made, get them used into quilts. You guys know that in the past, I have shown you how at the end of every quilter project I make, I go through what's left over of my fabric and I either cut it down into manageable sizes to use with my Build a Quilt combo set, or if the sizes are really bigger, I fold them up, maybe put them into nice fat quarters, put that in my fat quarter drawers, so that I have that fabric ready to go when I need it. And so the block I made tonight, completely randomly scrappy. There was no planning in it at all. Nope. All I did was go into my drawer, choose 5-inch squares because that's what I needed for the size I was going to do. And I just counted out the 16 of them I needed and about 4 or 5 blocks that I needed for background and luckily I had that many in my scrap, and that was it. I didn't do anything special for it. So this challenge is a great way to get your scraps under control, maybe whittle down those piles of pre-cuts that you've been making for your Build a Quilt. But first, let me tell you, you are going to need the Build a Quilt combo set, right? With the 6 different basic sets. Every block we make, all 24 blocks, will use these segment pieces, okay? With these segment pieces, you can make either a 9x9 block, a 12x12, or a 15x15. I didn't use the 2-inch size that these come in. These come in 2, 3, 4, and 5, and these come in 3, 4, and 5. I didn't use the 2-inch because if I have to mix blocks, I don't have blocks the right size in those other ones. I don't know why I ever did that, but there was a reason at the time. So you have to have that set, and I know many of you do, but if you don't have that set, not to worry, you can pop over to our website and grab it there. That is the set. If you want to do if you want to do patchwork quilting with your embroidery machine in the Build a Quilt fashion, the way we do it, you absolutely need to have that because we use that a lot because it has all of our basic shapes already in it. Instead of making you buy a ton of patterns at a lot and having constant redos of sizes of the same block. You purchase one set once, and then you'll always have these. And then I give you the layouts and things like that. So there is a layout sheet for this first block. And this is our first block right here. This is block number 1 in our challenge. Now, this block is great because we don't do a lot of things with quarter square triangles, or we haven't yet. We have done it occasionally, but not a lot of them. But this one, except for the 4 corners, all of these are quarter square triangles. Now, all of your how-to videos on how to make those quarter square triangles and all the other pieces are included with this set, which is, by the way, completely downloadable. So you don't have to put it in a binder if you don't want to. I just like to keep mine in a binder because then I just go like to my cut page and stuff to see what size I need to cut mine out. So, but there is a free download over at the website, and it looks just like this, except it's in color because still, yeah, my color printer is not working, which really, I don't know. I think we're gonna have to get a new one. Ever since my stuff got hacked, it won't work. So, but this is the download that you need. It says Build a Quilt 24 block challenge, block number 1 layout. Okay. Now down here it says you can do blocks 9 by 9, 12 by 12, or 15 by 15. If you do 9 by 9 blocks for this challenge, you'll want to use the 3-inch segment pieces, 3-inch. If you do the 12-inch block, you'll want to use the 4-inch segment pieces. And if you do the 15 by 15, you'll want to use the 5-inch segment pieces. If that changes for any particular block, like maybe a block will have 2 sizes mixed, I will let you know, and that would be in that week's challenge layout download, okay? But this is the free download. But what this gives you is the just basic materials list that we always have, but it tells you up here the block size is dependent on the size of the segment that you choose from the combo set, those sizes that we just went through. So this is just your general supply list. I don't give you quantity for fabric because you'll get that based on the size block you're going to make from here. Right? You'll get that information there, the how-to video, the instruction, all of that is in that combo set. You'll get 1 color photograph, and it'll tell you the sizes that you can make. And then you'll get the full layout from the individual segments into the rows, into the finished. And down here is some more information that's going to be important. Like it's going to tell you to make 5 quarter square triangles. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 quarter square triangles. But then it says 1 triangle in each quarter square, and in each of 4 quarter squares should be your background color. What that means is in this quarter square triangle, this one, and this one, you need to make sure that whatever you choose for your background fabric is one of your triangles in your quarter square triangle so that you get very defined star points here. So this is technically just an 8-point star, right? 2, 4, 6, 8. But we have made it out of quarter square triangles by using the background here to define our points. And then we've done a quarter square triangle of 4 different fabrics in the center. I love how that turned out. It's colorful. It's kind of whimsical. So depending on how you choose to choose your fabrics, which we're going to talk about in a minute, this could be a great lap quilt, a great crib quilt. It could be a great sending someone off to college quilt. It could be a great quilt if you donate quilts to different charities in your local area. Like I know some people donate baby quilts to their local hospital. I do that from time to time. Things with bright, pretty colors like that in your fabrics could be great for something like that. But that's your layout. And then, yeah, those are your page. Oh, and then just your general, if you have questions, you can't teach the class without my permission, that kind of stuff, all that kind of stuff. But that's your free download over on the website, okay? And again, just so you know, there's the website, www.mybuildaquilt.com, okay? All right, now I'm going to show you the block. Here's the block. Let's talk about this in a little more detail. So this is only 2 segments, a square and a quarter square triangle. You're only going to make 4 squares, and those are going to be in your 4 corners, and those are going to be your background fabric. Like I just said, in the 4 cardinal positions, north, south, east, and west, your quarter square triangles, one of them needs to be your background fabric. Background fabric, background fabric, background fabric, background fabric. That information is in that download. And then the center one is just 4 different colors. Okay. This is our block number 1. I am choosing to make my blocks 9 by 9 because I don't always work with that size block anymore. I used to, before I created Build a Quilt, when I was quilting by hand or quilting by machine, whatever I was doing, 9-inch blocks were a pretty large block and a pretty standard large block. And I'm talking decades ago. But I don't use them a lot anymore. So I thought, well, why not make these blocks in the 9 by 9. Then when we get to the part later on where we're going to start talking about layout and working with layout and how we think about layouts, I will have like a whole different size that I don't normally get. And I suspect a 9 by 9 is going to end up being like a pretty nice wall size, or maybe crib size, something like that. Oh, thanks. Sue says she loves the block. I love that, Sue. Thank you. I'm glad you do. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with doing this. And like I said, my choices, and let's just come back here so we can see this. In fact, let me bring it up so you can see it better. Let me take it off the board here. I literally just went in for 3-inch blocks. You start with a 5-inch square. For your quarter squares, you cut them all on the diagonal, which means you end up with 2 sets of triangles. So you could make 2 blocks. And the interesting thing is with this is these randomly ended up in this order. With this set, if I make it again, they could randomly end up in a different order because I truly paid no attention. I just went 2, 2, 2 and put out my sets because your quarter square triangle is made in two pieces. Let me show you. Your quarter square triangle is made in 2 pieces like this. Using your 5 by 7 hoop, if you make these 3-inchers, you can do both halves in 1 hooping. So this took me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It took me 7 hoopings to make this. 2 hoopings for each quarter square and a hooping for 2 of the squares. So one hooping, 2 hoopings, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. With a 5 by 7 hoop. If you have a larger hoop and you're using larger sizes or whatever, you will be able to fit more in. But the reason we do this, and I talk about this in the how-to video portion of the combo set, is because a quarter square triangle has a very nasty thing right here. What's that? Oh yeah, we know what that is. It's a Y seam or a center seam. So you can't flip it and stitch it down like you can with just a half square triangle. If you do 2 triangles with 2 triangles in it like this, you can flip and stitch. And then using our method of following our guideline for our perfect seam allowance each and every time, no quarter foot needed, which I love that. Can I tell you, so for years I had to be really good at doing my 1/4 inch by hand. That I had to pass that test before my grandma would even let me move on to anything else, because everything was by hand. And if you didn't have a really accurate 1/4 inch by hand, you ended up having to block every single piece you made. I hated that. I really, really despised that. So I got really good at doing my 1/4 inch seam by hand. But then when we moved into doing patchwork by sewing machine, every single time you sit down, you've got to recheck that 1/4 inch because it's going to be off every single time. And there's like a dozen different ways to test it and do it and make sure it's right, and different rulers and different gadgets on the machine and all that. And it gets quite expensive to get all of that stuff figured out. And it was worse than just stitching a really accurate 1/4 inch for me, always having to check that, because typically you'd end up having to block those pieces as well. But with Build a Quilt, because we have this seam here, as long as you follow it and stitch right down it, and there's always that little piece of film in all of our patterns so that you can see it, and it's on the channel as a short as well, then you don't have to worry. The seam is built in, the line is built in. If you can trace a line with your needle, you are in good shape, and you're going to end up with the perfect piece every time, no matter what square you're making. That's one of the big advantages of Build a Quilt, is that all that precision that it can take literally years to get if with other techniques in patchwork, because patchwork's all about accuracy and precision, right? We've talked about that before. But with Build a Quilt, with all of that built into the digital file, you don't have to worry about that anymore. And so really, I've told you before, I created this system because my embroidery friends would not quilt with me unless I made something they could do with the embroidery machine. I'm so thankful to them not having to worry about that 1/4 inch to me. I know I'm off on a 1/4 inch rant, but I really despise it. But it's so easy to have the perfect seam with Build a Quilt. That's all I meant to say. But so then you end up with these two pieces. You put them together and stitch them. You flip them open. And when you do, after you press, look at that beautiful 1/4 square triangle. That's the back of it right there. Perfect every single time. So really easy to do this. If you are brand new to Build a Quilt, please go onto our website and find our pattern, the half square triangle, the mama block of all patchwork quilting. It's a free download. Try it out. That teaches you the technique. And so it's going to be really easy. Once you've done that, you can do any of the Build a Quilt blocks, because that's the same technique that you use to make any of the segments. This segment here, these really wild looking segments, done the same way. Okay. And so that's what you will need to do for this. So I would call this week's number 1 block advanced beginner. Okay. That's what I would call it, advanced beginner. But if you are a brand new beginner, trust me when I say you can do this. This will really help you build your skills. It is not difficult. If you've been with us for a while and doing this method is no big deal for you anymore, and I suspect that's the case with so many of you, then start to think about different things. Let's talk some more about color, right? We've been talking about color in different ways, different tools we have to help us pick color if we're not quite sure where we're going with our color. Yeah, you can take a big color theory class. I think it's kind of unnecessary to take a big class on it, although there are aspects of color theory that I throw into these other techniques that I don't even tell you about. I just mention them because they're easy things for us to remember. But tools can really help you. The Sarah Renee Clark Color Cube. Nature, right? You pick something out in nature, pick 3 or 4 colors from it, you're gonna know it's gonna go well each and every time. Or perhaps you want to, hang on, the heat's going up in here, so I have to turn the fan up. Perhaps you want to do a curated set where you know all the colors are going to work together that way too. That's a great way, especially if you're brand new and you don't want to have to really worry about color. Something like that can really help. But if you have a scrap stash, this is the quilt you want, or this is the challenge you want to do. Because when we get the blocks done and we start talking about layout, you might decide that these aren't going to go into a quilt now. Or you might decide you're going to do multiple projects with these 24 blocks. This challenge is not meant for us to have a quilt at the end, although you will be able to, but it's meant more for us to use our scraps, work on skills, talk about layout, learn more about layout when we get to that point, because part of this is helping you also figure out how to design your own quilts. A lot of you have said you wanted that. Well, learning about layout is one of those things. Excuse me, I got a flyaway. Oh, they always get caught right behind my glasses here and end up in my eyes. But that's what this challenge is about. So I have a whole nother stack of these pieces. Now I'm not going to make this block, but there might be another block in this challenge that I can use these on. If not, I will make this block, and that block will go into my bonus block stash. Because remember, I just did a video for you all on bonus blocks. Every time you do a quilt, pick a block you like, take the fabric you have left over and turn it into that block that you like, and put that block aside until you have enough of them. And then you have a bonus quilt that you've made without even really thinking about it. All you have to do then is do a layout. I talk about in the bonus quilt, I did the full video instead of breaking it up into two parts, the full video. And so we talk about in there the easiest way to put those bonus blocks together, and then some a little bit more advanced ways to put those blocks together, but we talk about layout in that video as well. So please, if you haven't, check out the bonus block video. I think for those of you especially who have been quilting for a long time, you're going to like that video because it really helps you think about how to use your fabric efficiently, how to make more blocks without even thinking about it while you're still in the process of making a quilt, and then having extra quilts just there ready to get sewn together, quilted, and bound and done. So one way or the other, these are going to get used. But if I weren't going to use them, they would go back into my pre-cut drawer, and I would label them for what size they can be used for. And then I would just, if I ever needed to make some quarter squares, I could go in here and choose them. Now let's talk about color a little bit more. Totally scrappy, right? Completely and utterly scrappy. Hang on, wait, there we go. It was sliding. There we go. So totally scrappy, like that one. And all of these blocks can be done totally scrappy. But there's a couple other ways you can think about color here. Maybe you are not someone that likes the randomness or the chaos, you could say, of a completely scrappy quilt. Maybe it's too much color for you. And I know some people say that much color hurts my eyes. I understand. That's not me. To me, the more color, the better. But that's just it. Everybody's different. So maybe instead of going randomly completely scrappy, you look at your scrap fabrics and you pick every fabric you have in your favorite color. You guys know that my favorite color is this kind of an aqua color that we see here, or here. So what if I went into my scraps and I chose every fabric where the main fabric, or a pretty good majority of that fabric, had that color in it? It can have other colors in it too, because it will if it's a print. And then what you'll find when you put that whole piece together is that that color you love ends up being, I hate to say the background, but the majority of the color you see. And then you'll have little bits of color randomly throughout, but you won't have so much color like you do with a completely random quilt. Does that make sense to everybody? Please, if you have any questions on anything I'm asking, put them in the comments and I will be sure to answer. And there's no silly questions, no stupid questions, no bad questions. Because if you need to know, I bet 5 other people need to know at least. That is, I have a friend and she always says, ask your questions because if you have them, at least 5 other people have them. So if you have any questions, please put them in the comments about this. So that's another way that you can do color. Go into your scraps and choose all the fabrics that you have from a specific color family. Blues, reds, greens. Your reds could be reds from pink to dark maroon. Your blues could be really light, soft aqua all the way to the deepest navy. Yellows, browns, oranges, whatever you have, and do your block in that way. And you might want to do as many of these challenge blocks as you can out of those fabrics, because maybe if you're going to put it together in a quilt in the end, you would want it all to be like in that color family. That would be fantastic. That's a great way to use your scraps without being just randomly scrappy. Okay. So totally random or choose a color family. Now, this is meant to be used with scraps, but I know some of you especially some of you that are new, don't have a stash with enough scraps in it really that you feel like you can do much of anything. I say use the scraps you do have. And then if you have fat quarters, go to those. If you have yardage, go to that and use what you have. There's probably no need, unless you just have no fabric, for you to have to buy fabric. However, if you're brand new and you feel very uncomfortable about choosing fabrics and putting fabrics together, even in a color family, then you could, but you would have to purchase it. And the idea is to try and let you do this without having to purchase fabric, and to get these scraps into beautiful quilts instead of just sitting in your scrap drawers or bins or whatever. You could use a curated fat quarter bundle. In fact, let me grab one so you can see what I'm talking about. Talk amongst yourselves. I just need to grab it from over here. I've got one. I happen to have one sitting out, and you guys who know me will know exactly whose fat quarter bundle it is, because I love Tula Pink, right? So this is a fat quarter bundle, right? So what that means is that a designer takes their collection and they break it down into fat quarter sizes. And so typically you get 21 different fat quarters in a full bundle, 21, sometimes 22, depends on how big the collection is. So if they're selling half bundles, you would get like 11 or 12, but typically that's a full fat quarter bundle. This is from her, I call it her Alice in Wonderland collection, but I know it was actually called something else. So you get in a fat quarter bundle, you will get one fat quarter of every fabric typically. And so you will get fabrics that are large prints, more focal prints. For this particular challenge that we're doing, just cut them up as if those fabrics, those flowers don't even exist there. That'll really mix your colors up. But fabrics like this are also great if you're doing blocks where you have a center and you want something fussy cut in the center. You will also get smaller blender prints like this. I love how Tula does her blender prints, because she goes from one end of the color spectrum in her collection to the other all on one. I love when she started doing this. That's these little beetles, these little ladybugs. And then in this one, it's the hearts and spades and diamonds. I think those are the 3 in here. But you can see they start like in the yellows and blues and go through the oranges and reds and pinks and all of that and keep going. I love how she does that. that kind of a gradated look throughout the entire piece. So you get lots of different things. So if you have to buy a fat quarter bundle, go to a fabric shop and look at their fat quarter bundles. But before you look at the bundles, look at the collections that they have in the yardage so that you can see the bigger prints, so you can see what's going to come in your fat quarter bundle. You will have plenty of fabric to get through this challenge, probably with one fat quarter bundle. And then you can mix them and match them to make them completely randomly scrappy within that collection. Because everything within this collection, I can choose, I need, say I need 4 prints or 4 fabrics. I'm just going to choose these 4 right here. These are all from the same collection. I can put them together in any block, and I know they're all going to go together because that's how curated bundles work. So if those of you are thinking about doing that, or if you have a fat quarter bundle at home that you just haven't been able to take the ribbon off of yet, I've taken that one off and put it back on several times. I still haven't used it because I had a couple of those. So I've used the fabric, but I haven't undone that one yet. But you can mix and match them and make a completely random, but it's going to look a little bit different than something so completely random because all the colors are going to go together because they all come from the same collection. All righty. That is the block for this week. Block number 1. The download is at the website. I'll give you that in a minute. Remember, you have to have the combo set to make these blocks. Each week for 24 weeks, we're going to make a block in this challenge. Talk about it. Talk about what might be more of a skill builder. Talk about something new we haven't talked about before in making blocks. And you'll be able to make them in those 3 sizes, 9x9, 12x12, or 15x15. Okay. And then when we get to the end, we're going to talk about layout. We'll continue to talk about color throughout the entire series. Now, I will tell you, next Wednesday, the 3rd of September, which is the day that the mini set comes out. Yay! I'm so excited. If you're excited for that mini set, just say excited, yay, exclamation point, whatever you want in the comments. I want to know if you're excited about this mini set coming out because I'm getting a little nervous about it out. But it's this set in the mini sizes. When that set comes out on the 3rd, that day is also my dear husband Dave's birthday. So on Wednesday the 3rd, we will not be having our Wednesday workshop because we're doing a big deal for his birthday. Okay. You guys understand that, right? But then we'll be going straight through unless we hit a Wednesday. Like I know there's a Wednesday, I think that is Christmas Eve. We won't do that one. So we'll probably finish all of this up in February. Okay. So this is like a longer challenge for us, right? We haven't done anything quite that long before, but I think it'll be fun. You're going to have some great blocks. We're going to talk about a lot of good tips and tricks along the way. Sue says she's excited. Yay. I'm so excited. I'm excited right there with you, Sue. I have refused to do true miniature quilts with those little sizes because I'm horrible at it. I can't do it by hand. I can't do it by sewing machine, but with Build A Quilt, I can now do them. So I am so looking forward to bringing you guys some videos on how to use the set in different ways, but on actually making some tiny little blocks that are different stars and stuff like that. Because I see them 3 summers ago. We went to Paducah for a family reunion, Paducah, Kentucky, and we all know what's there, the big National Quilt Museum, right? So my beloved husband, because he does all these kind things for me, that's why like his birthday is a big deal for me. I try to do everything I can for him. Ruth says she loves it. In fact, Ruth says, yay! Thanks, Ruth. I'm glad you're excited too. we spent the whole day at the Quilt Museum. We did videos. I read each and everything. We did pictures, and the displays that got my attention were the true miniatures that had been done by hand. I don't understand. I don't have that. I don't have that ability in these two hands and these two eyes. Can't do it. But with Build a Quilt, I sure can do it. I'm so excited. Next Wednesday, guys. It's it's a week away. It's 1 week away, a week from today, the 3rd of September. That mini set's coming out. Yay. Okay, you guys ready for our question of the week? Question of the week, everybody, is really simple. It's just some silly random question. Then we talk about it. You put your answers in. We talk about them, laugh, joke, share, pat each other on the back, all that good stuff that us quilting friends do. And then I do a random spin, and somebody will win a gift certificate to our website just for playing. All righty. Question of the week. Here we go. Let me explain this one. Question of the week. Classic, vintage. I don't think the vintage should have a space there, but or modern holiday colors. If you are doing a holiday quilt this year, or have done one in the past, or are thinking about doing one in the future, do you prefer, or if you're decorating your home for Christmas, do you prefer classic red and green, that more vintage red, green, pink that's a little bit like a lime green and a soft red and a kind of a bubblegum pink color vintage, or a modern holiday color? And I'm not sure what the modern ones are. I think the modern ones are more like the more maroon reds and the more deep foresty greens, those kinds of things. What is your preference? Or do you love them all? Ruth says she's a classic girl, classic red and green. Ho, 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 Merry Christmas, red and green. To be honest, I love them all. Because we have been married for so long, 43 years. This year, well, we've spent more than 43 Christmases together because we dated and were engaged for several years before we got married. Well, not too many, several, but like 3, 4 maybe. But so we have tons of ornaments that have been shared with us, given to us, right? And so I always do a tree that is full of all of our ornaments. And then we do classic color balls and things all over it as well. But then I like to do a smaller tree that has like a very specific color scheme in it. I even like to do a Hanukkah tree because we celebrate Hanukkah as well in our family. But one year, many years ago, I did that vintage color theme in a tree with ribbons and garland and stuff. It turned out really pretty. So I kind of like them all. Rose says she likes the modern colors, the deeper colors, the more burgundies, the deeper forest. You know, I have to say, Rose, that if I were to choose just a red and green color scheme, I like that modern version too. When I think of the classic colors for me, sometimes it's hard to get them where they're just kind of the right shades and they're a little bright. I love to do that when I'm doing like trees and things for parties and all, because everybody kind of likes it. But I kind of like those modern greens and reds myself. But I think the vintage is really pretty. You guys, if you remember the poinsettia block we did last year for the holidays and the gift boxes, those reds and greens in there was part of a vintage collection that I really loved. So anybody else? Oh, Lisa says she is a modern girl as well. Cool, Lisa. So Sue is classic. Ruth is classic. Lisa is modern, and Rose is modern. Anybody else want to throw in your preference? Man, I cut myself today, you guys. And you know what? That cut is a rotary blade cut. It didn't make it bleed, but it's definitely got skin there. Speaking of rotary cutters, if you haven't changed the blade on your rotary cutter in a while, go do it when we're done, because that's why I got that cut, is because my blade is getting a little old and I didn't change it out today when I started my project, and I should have done that. And anybody else gonna put in a thing. Okay. So don't forget, go get your free layout. But remember, you have to have your set, your combo set for all the segments, the digital files, the how-to videos and all. And then the layout and all for this is a free download. Okay. All righty. All right. So let's roll. I can't look. It makes me, I get vertigo so bad. Oh my goodness. It's literally right in the middle. It's in the middle between our good friend from Indiana, Sue, and our good friend, Ruth. So Sue and Ruth, you two ladies are the winners this week of our challenge, of our question of the week. Sue and Ruth, I have your emails because you guys are quilt labbers, so I have those. You are each going to get your gift certificate information in an email tomorrow, whenever I sit down to start working tomorrow. And thank you all for playing. Thank you all so very much for playing. When it goes in the center like that, I got to give. In fact, you know what? Only Sue, Lisa, and Rose, all four of you ladies that played tonight, I'm going to send you all gift certificates tomorrow, okay? And I should have all of your emails, all of your quilt labbers. Speaking of quilt labbers, don't forget to go check out the 2 videos in the member only area and your download for fabric quantity for the quilt along, which starts on the 7th. So all 4 of you ladies, I'm going to send you all, Sue says, give it to Ruth. Nope, all 4 of you are going to get gift certificates. I'll send them all out tomorrow, okay? Thank you all so much for coming tonight. If you have any further questions about what we talked about tonight on our block number 1 for our 24 block challenge, you can send them to me at support@sewuncommon.com. It's my pleasure, Sue. It's really my pleasure. You guys are, you folks that come every week are such a lovely support. And I feel like I just want to do that. So Sue says, good night, Sue. Good night, dear friend. So support@sewuncommon.com if you need to contact me to get your download for this block for the layout portion, or to purchase your combo set if you need that. I know many of you have it, but if you need it, all of that's available at the website, mybuildaquilt.com. If you were new with us tonight, thank you so much for joining. We love having new folks here at Build a Quilt. Please hit that subscribe button so you'll get notifications when we do our new videos. We're here every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Like and share our videos with your friends and your family. That's how this group has grown, and I can't thank you all enough. And as I tell you every single week, and will always tell you, as quilters, we are artists. Artists make the world a beautiful place. So go out, make yourself the block number 1 this week, and quilt life beautiful. Bye for now, everybody.